Adjustment of discharge granularity. There is a wedge or shim adjustment device between the two rollers, and the top of the wedge device is equipped with an adjustment bolt. When the adjustment bolt pulls the wedge up, the wedge will lift the movable roller away from the fixed wheel, that is. The gap between the two rollers becomes larger and the output granularity becomes larger. When the wedge is downward, the movable roller under the action of the compression spring becomes smaller and the output granularity becomes smaller. The shim device adjusts the output particle size by increasing or decreasing the number or thickness of the shim. When the shim is increased, the gap between the two rollers becomes larger, and when the shim is reduced, the gap between the two rollers becomes smaller, and the output particle size becomes smaller. The driving mechanism is driven by two electric motors, which drives the roller through the bead belt to the groove wheel, and rotates according to the relative direction. When crushing the material passes through the roller through the feed port and is crushed by rolling, and the crushed finished product is discharged from the bottom frame. For safety, the transmission part should install the safety cover according to the actual situation. The main structure of the counter roller gear transmission device is composed of fixed rollers, movable rollers, transmission shaft, body, chassis, cover, long gear cover, etc. The counter roller braking power is transmitted by the triangle belt pulley on the motor, and then through a pair of intermediate reduction gears. The fixed roller is rotated, and then with the aid of a pair of long gears at the other end of the fixed roller to drive the movable roller. The two rollers are in relative motion to squeeze the material. To strengthen the iron removal work for the mine. Non-crushed objects, such as drill heads, falling into the double rollers will damage the crusher and cause parking accidents. Therefore, an iron removal device should be installed in front of the crusher. Viscous materials are easy to block the crushing space, and should be stopped during the processing of blocking faults, and it is not allowed to poke the mine during operation. When the processed material contains many large pieces, it should be noted that large pieces of ore are easily squeezed out of the crushing space to prevent injury or damage to the equipment. After the double roller crusher has been running for a long time, due to the large wear of the roller surface, it will cause the product size to be too fine. At this time, it is necessary. Single-tooth roller crusher is suitable for coarse crushing of solid materials with medium hardness, compressive hardness value, such as sintered oil, coal, slag, oil shale, soft ore and other materials. It has the characteristics of large crushing ratio, high temperature resistance, simple structure, reliable performance and low power consumption. It can be used in metallurgy, coal mine, electric power, chemical industry, mining and other industries. Working principle. The single-tooth roller crusher is a new type of coarse crushing equipment that combines the advantages of the roller crusher and the jaw crusher and uses the advantages of these two crushers. The single-tooth roller crusher is composed of a toothed roller and a fixed screen plate. The toothed roller is driven by a motor, a reducer, and a coupling. Large pieces of material enter the crushing chamber composed of the toothed roller and the screen plate from the feed port, impacted by the crushing teeth and splitting effect. The material is crushed to the required particle size. In order to ensure the reliability of the single-tooth roller crusher in high-temperature environment, the water temperature of the hollow main shaft is used to control the bearing temperature within a certain range. The working principle of the counter roller braking, the adjustment of the output granularity. There is a wedge or shim adjustment device between the two rollers of the counter roller. The top of the wedge device is equipped with an adjustment bolt. When the adjustment bolt pulls the wedge up, the block pushes the movable roller away from the fixed wheel. That is, the gap between the two rollers becomes larger, and the output particle size becomes larger. When the wedge is down, the movable roller under the action of the compression spring becomes smaller, and the discharged particle size becomes smaller. The shim device adjusts the output particle size by increasing or decreasing the number or thickness of the shim. When the shim is increased, the gap between the two rollers becomes larger, and when the shim is reduced, the gap between the two rollers becomes smaller, and the output particle size becomes smaller. This series of roller crusher is mainly composed of rollers, roller support, bearings,